So we're at Central Market today with Jorge Ordóñez, probably the best known importer of Spanish wine to the United States. He's bought us dozens, maybe hundreds of labels and grapes that people here hadn't come across before, and is one of the people who's been at the forefront of popularizing Spanish wine. So Jorge, perhaps I could start by asking you, suppose somebody's drunk red wines from Rioja, they're familiar with the grape Tempranillo. What would you recommend that they try next if they say we're looking for a red wine?
Well, I mean, they can go to Ribera del Duero and have more Tempranillo, which is an area that came out to fame maybe 30 years ago, something like that. Although the most famous winery in Spain, Vega Sicilia, is from there. These people making rosé wine until 1970s. But they make very interesting wines. It's a Tempranillo with a twist. It's a different clone of Tempranillo called Tinta del País or Tinto Fino. Produce very robust wines which are perfect for lamb lovers, Colorado lamb and Texas lamb. Also, if they want more Tempranillo, they can go to Toro, which is the original area of production of Tempranillo, the most famous area of production of red wine in Spain, the 15th, 16th century. And if they want to get fine, great values Tempranillo, they can go to the Mancha, the land of Don Quixote, which produce the best value Tempranillos you might buy in Spain. But if you are bored of Tempranillo and say, oh, you don't like the grape, then you could go to the quintessential Spanish grape. And unknown for most of the consumers here, even in Spain, the other Spanish red grape is Garnache, called Grenache elsewhere in the world. And for those, if you like Grenache or Garnache, you could have the original Garnache, because the grape is from Spain. It was first mentioned in the monasteries in the 12th century. And you could enjoy the oldest clones of Garnache in the world. I mean, a grape with a long-standing history in Spain that we know of at least 9 centuries of cultivation, that moved to France recently, a couple of hundred years ago or 100 years ago, depending where you want. So where it's very well known is Côte du Rhône, Rhone Valley. We export the grape there in the 19th century. And Garnache is a different grape, produce very fruity wines, which many people think that they are wimpy, but when the grapes are grown in the mountain and the vines are old, produce outstanding, deep color red wines that age and give a lot of pleasure for steak lovers and pork lovers alike.
Which parts of Spain are best for Garnache?
Garnache is originated not in Spain, but for the world. The original birthplace of Garnache is the old kingdom of Aragon, which capital today is Zaragoza, and is sandwiched between Catalonia and Rioja in the northeast of the country. Most of the good Garnache lands are located south bank of the famous Ebro River. That's the river that gave the name to Iberian Peninsula, because the Iberians were the people that lived next to the Ebro River.
Good.
2,000-3,000 years ago.
And suppose somebody was looking for white wines from Spain. They're less well known. Which ones could you recommend?
Well, it's less well known because we were a country of red wine drinkers, and because transportation produced a limitation 100 years ago where we don't have refrigeration, no refrigerators, no good cellars, and no refrigerated transportation or storage for wine. The white wine was drunk only locally. So that makes sense. You know, if you don't have a refrigerator, you get a bottle in Texas or white wine, leave it in your car for 3 days, and you can find that a beautiful vinegar. Yeah. And for that reason, the white wines of Spain have come to, because our weather, to fame only recently with the revolution of winemaking in Spain. So, I mean, you could go to Galicia, and for those, you have 2 areas of production there. One is Rías Baixas, which produce the grape called Albariño. Alba Rhine, the grape from the Rhine, some people say, is a very crispy, aromatic grape, somehow related to a Riesling, a good one, a dry white wine, and it works perfect with all kind of shellfish, like Dungeness crab, stone crabs, crabbies, brook crabs,
yeah, we have.
And oysters and mussels, because this area, funny enough, produce the best oyster beds in Europe. And the best mussels and the best shellfish in Spain always come from there. So the wine, the local wine Albariño, which is crispy and good acidity and extremely aromatic, is a perfect match for that kind of seafood. If you go to the mountains of Galicia, you could have the grape called Godello, a very ancient grape that was only rediscovered some 30 years ago. And Godello produced wines sometimes more structural, more complex, more if you barrel fermented closer to a Chardonnay. And they are outstanding too, and they work fantastic also with the local seafood situation. If you want something from Castile, you could go to Rueda, that produced the ancient grape called Verdejo, which was the most famous grape, the most consumed wine was made with Verdejo in the court of Spain by the king and the likes in the 14th, 13th century. Situation, Verdejo was very popular, and it's the closest thing that we have stylistically talking to a Sauvignon Blanc. It's not Sauvignon Blanc, it's Verdejo, and it's a mineral grape produced from soils that are red clay or sandy soils, and again, it's very good with seafood. Most of our wines, the white wines, don't have oak much because Spain is the second largest country in the world consumption of seafood, and therefore you don't want your seafood tasting like a barrel and with your white wine. So therefore, most of them are very crispy, aromatic, fresh, and that's what you want to have with your salmon or your halibut or whatever you like to eat.
Great, thank you very much,
You're
Jorge.
welcome.